Welcome everyone to the first session of Beyond the Meeting, presented by Meeting Insights. These are monthly sessions where we talk about the importance of capturing, saving, and sharing the knowledge shared during your company meetings. I'm your host, Josh Chronister, and today I have a very special guest, AudioCode's own Guy Yaffe. Guy, how are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for inviting me, Josh, for the first sessions. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, glad to have you here. If you'll be able to tell us maybe a little bit about your role here at AudioCodes.
I would be more than happy. I'm with AudioCodes actually only 2 decades. The first decade was in research and development. In the last few years, though, I'm more focused on business development and leading the recording and productivity application business line in AudioCodes.
Awesome. So wanted to get into a conversation today about something that we talked about a few weeks back. You've brought up that you've been hearing the question, can we record this regarding meetings a lot? Since the shift to hybrid work, there seems to be a progression from concern to necessity with meeting recordings. That kind of brings us into the first question I had for you of, we live in a world where a lot of our information online is being tracked. And that could also relate back to their meeting recordings do you think people would really care about that or in general, or does it seem more of like a generational aspect?
So thank you, Josh. This is an awesome question to start with. Actually, this is indeed related to generation and also to environment. We do see these days a difference in personal communication in the enterprise environment. No doubt, though, our data is widely exposed these days. So what do I mean? Companies like Facebook, Google's, and others, they're getting richer every day from our personal data, no doubt about it, right? And actually, most of us do not care, right? When I mean most of us, I mean the majority, right? There will always be those who go after Facebook privacy configuration and privacy statement line by one and make sure that they're happy with it, right? Now, research shows that the younger you are, the less you care about your privacy. Now, Generation Z that everybody's talking about, which today should be between 10 and 25 years old, some were born into the iPhone, into the Instagram age, right? And they just don't know what privacy is actually. On the contrary, they're spending many hours sharing and adding more personal data to the network. Some of them, you can figure it out from their age, is already working as we speak for a few years already for these firms, collecting data on all of us. Do they care about recording their meetings in their work environments? I guess not. Now, in the business environment, let's move from the consumer to the business environment for a second. The world has changed tremendously in the the last 2-3 years, actually. The work from home in a hybrid life work balance in parallel for the maturity of the collaboration application, like the one that we're using right now. Everybody talks these days about Zoom, about Microsoft Teams, which actually boosted the need to record and be able to easily share the data gathered in these meetings, not to mention AI functionality. Well, these days, everybody talked about the chatbot GPT, right? Just as an example. Using these AI functionality running on the actual data to allow efficient work environment.
Yeah, I think with us being hybrid, it has allowed it to be, now easier to record meetings since, there's most meetings are taking place online rather than being in person around a table. So now we have the ability to do so more often and being able to get that information. That's being passed during the meeting. So that kind of leads me into, there seems to be like a psychological aspect of being recorded, whether that's during a customer call of whenever you call into, Nike or somebody and you're having an issue, or your grandpa at your most recent Christmas gathering. We just had Christmas, so that was my experience. Or a meeting at work. Have you found this to be true in your own experience, of there being like a psychological aspect to being recorded or during your conversations?
I cannot comment on your family conversation, but let's focus for a few minutes on meetings at work, right? So, meeting these days, more than before, are far from efficient, okay? And as we can imagine, most of the responsibilities is with us, the owners of the meeting, okay? We are the one who should manage the meeting from all aspects, including the psychological effects happening before the meeting and right after the meeting, and obviously during the meeting. Sorry, it's obvious, at least as I see it, that in order to get better results out of these meetings, everybody attended the meeting should feel comfortable to share their ideas, complaints, and feel that they are in a well-managed meeting. Okay, if the owner schedule a meeting with 10 individuals with no agenda, you can imagine how they feel about it. Well, there is a lot of discussion lately about meeting fatigues, but we're not going to discuss about that. In meetings that are recorded, we need to make sure that all attendees should feel comfortable. So no one except those attending the meeting have access to this recording. So obviously, there is no big brother effect in the room. So all attendees should feel comfortable with that. Okay. And obviously, they should have the option to stop the recording completely or momentarily if required. Now, you asked Josh about the psychology effect during the meeting. So we know about two known effects that are in play in bigger organizations these days. People are obviously overloaded, though they are suffering also from FOMO, fear of missing out. As such, they will actually accept any meeting request, even if this is not relevant for them, even if they have other more important things to do. You will be amazed. Obviously, it's the meeting owner again responsibility to make sure that only mandatory invitees are invited, and that the topic of the meeting is well defined, and the meeting is actually needed. Meaning it's not something that can be easily discussed or resolved over a simple email or a one-on-one call. Now, the second interesting phenomena is the mere urgency effect, less popular than the FOMO one, where research shows that people will always prioritize urgent, not important tasks that they can implement in short intervals instead of focusing on these important things and long-term tasks that they need to do that requires much more time and attention. Now, these two effects can be minimized dramatically using a good meeting recording solution, which can, with a lot of efficiency, offer crystallized highlights of the meetings for those who cannot, who should not attend these sessions.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I relate to both those phenomenons. Definitely easier to kind of prioritize the less important things over those more important things are going to take a little bit more mental capacity. So say that you've identified a meeting that would be good for recording. How would recording that meeting be helpful to your overall job and using it afterwards? Maybe what are some use cases there?
A very good question, Josh. And I will also share some of my experience and best practice that we share with our customers. So, again, it really depends on the actual use case, right? So, I mean, who is recording and why? So, if you are an executive, for example, and you have 6 to 10 meetings every day, and for sure you will miss few, right, due to double booking, or you just need some free time to digest, think, or work, or be creative. So in all of these scenarios, you would love to have a recording solution for these meetings that you've missed. With obviously, it's not enough to record this, with the ability to grasp the highlight in like 5 minutes. Okay, you are a very busy executive. You do not have time at night to spend few more hours to listen to all of these recordings. Now, if you are a sales manager, okay, and you manage the team of salesperson, right, and you would like to hear the voice of the most important customer, though you cannot join each and every call, right? And if you have just recruited the new sales guy and you would like to coach him, though again, you cannot join each and every meeting. So invest like 10 minutes after a few of his customer calls. So you get a crystal clear understanding of the call, and you can coach the new sales guy of what he needs to improve. I can give you also a few other examples from like customer success managers or support managers who would like to share with their team leader, as an example, an escalation call with their top most important customer, okay? But not or using few lines in an email, but actually sharing the voice of the customer. Okay. Now, what about all of these vendors or partners calls that we do every week with thousands of details? No one can track during a meeting, right? It would be extremely much easier to have these recorded and shared internally and with the partner, with the vendor right after the meeting. So, in general, being in a call or in a meeting is much, much more important than taking notes or being all in instead of doing emails or looking at your phone, right? There is a lot of research about just the fact that the phone is on the desk without even looking at it, your productivity and attention drops significantly. Okay. Now, if a specific meeting does not worth your time, do not attend and create more value to the organization on that free time. So we can say bring back time to managers and to the employees.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with trying to be engaged during a meeting while also trying to take notes. I feel like everyone's probably experienced that of, I guess when you have something that records the call, you can really actually listen to what the person's saying, and then maybe just click a button that says highlight or bookmark that allows you to then go back to it and have that note later on rather than during the live conversation. So you brought up to me a stat recently that I found pretty eye-opening. I think it's from Gartner, and they say 75% of conversations will be recorded by 2025. What do you think about that? You think that? Do you agree or disagree, or thoughts?
Listen, I came across that prediction few weeks ago, and it blew my mind. Okay, in this case, I could not agree more, honestly. Well, Gardner have predicted it around 1 year into the pandemic. Okay, where people started to have much more online meetings, and we saw that they were asking us, can we record these calls and these meetings? Okay. So the pandemic didn't really start the trend, or it accelerated it, as I see it. Now, the more interesting part of Gartner's prediction is, and I quote, privacy is an illusion. Organization needs to begin to think about how to collect the data, how to analyze it, and how to use it to improve the employee experience. The above is completely aligned with the overall trend of enterprises moving to the cloud. Some of their applications, so no surprise there, though, it should not imply security should be overlooked. Vendors are really taking all the security measurements under strict regulations to supply the most secure service possible. Still, from as we see it, we are hosting. Well, actually, on this topic exactly, we are about to have another webinar in about 4 weeks, sharing our experience from our customers moving to the cloud, their solution. Now, considering a meeting recording and analyzing is as simple as automated as it should, I see no reason why we shouldn't use it exactly as emails. And I will explain, Josh. Now, today, most of our communication is email based and chat based, yes. And we very rarely delete our emails, right? At least most of us. Now, the second important communication method is meetings, where nothing is archived. And this is something we see changing very rapidly.
Absolutely agree. I know, I think it's your company meetings or your company emails need to be kept for 7 years. But right now, when it comes to meetings, maybe you click record and it just gets put into the chat of the meeting that you just had, and then it kind of just gets lost. Um, and I know there are a couple meeting softwares out there and the way that they're deployed. Um, and would you say that most meeting softwares are alike, or maybe what are some of the differences in a meeting software, meeting recording software?
Right, yeah. So the only one we haven't touched at all so far is online versus on-prem, right? As a concept. Now, the topic is much wider than what we can cover in few minutes, actually. It's more like a religion as I see it. You have those who are perfectly fine with the trend to move everything to the cloud, their storage, their VMs, their PBXs, their office applications. And on the other hand, there are those who take it in baby steps and push the decisions as much as they can. And some of them really they have good reasons to do so. Still, like everything in life, when something good happens, most of the organizations are adopting it or at least evaluating it. Uh, Now, as there is no on-prem Salesforce, SFDC, and no on-prem Zoom and no on-prem Microsoft Teams, you can imagine what I personally believe is the right trend and the right way to go, which we're all aware of. Still, as far as recording, there are regulated countries and self-regulated organizations where still on-prem is required. Now, as we discussed a few minutes ago, almost every UC solution or UCaaS solutions, more accurate, today have embedded recording solution, which is allowing us as individuals to record our online meeting. So actually basic recording is a commodity. Now we should, or you guys should ask yourself, what can you do with these recordings? Or who is the owner of these recordings? Can you easily share them internally? Or can you easily in a given moment find the laser focused data. Does your current recording solutions answers your security concern? Now, if you're happy with all of your answers to these questions, you probably have a good solution, which is good for your needs. Now, if you're not happy from your answers, or for most of them, you probably need to go and explore for a third-party application, which my recommendation for start, make sure that it's tightly integrated with your UC or UCAS solution. Now, like with many other applications out there, there are specific vertical applications like Salesforce or Gong.io and horizontal applications, which can add value to multiple verticals, such as the one that I can think of is Monday.com. I call them the applications of a tapas bar approach, where they add value in small pieces to different verticals. Now, each approach is giving actually a different set of functionality and different values to the organization. Now, eventually, each organization will choose the right path for them. If they need the best solution for a specific challenge, they will go with the first approach, the vertical one. Though, if they have a wider need for many small challenges in different disciplines in the organization, definitely the tapas bar approach, the horizontal approach.
I love those, especially those questions that you brought up of things that you should ask yourself if you're considering, maybe like a meeting recording software, and making sure that you get one that fits well with your needs. Okay, and as we're kind of closing things up here, I did have one final question that I think could be helpful for everyone who's listening. Of if you could give someone listening one piece of advice about meeting recordings, or what to look for in a meeting recording, what would it be?
Okay, so you asked for one, but I will give you three at the same price. Now,
Okay.
the three tips that I would look at is what I like the most with my recording application that I use for my meeting is that first, all the magic happens automatically. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to invest time and energies to invite any applications and make sure that it happens. Uh, the application must have very advanced search capabilities. So if I would like to find piece of data, I can find it in seconds, exactly like I do today with emails. Okay, I can find anything that somebody sent to me 10 years ago in seconds. Now, last but not least, it should have very advanced capabilities of sharing in collaboration inside the organization and outside the organization. These are my three gifts for you for today. And thank you very much, Josh, for having me today.
Yeah, thank you, Guy. Those are all great points. I'll take the generous gift. That brings us to a close today. Thank you, everyone, for watching and joining us. We have a new topic for February. We'll have a new guest with us. In February, we'll be talking about why preserving your organization's meetings is just as important as preserving your emails. And we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Josh.